I'm not a big fan of appendix carry. I know it's the hotness. I know it's faster and all that stuff. And I have great fun messing with KJ and Chris here in the office because they're appendix carry guys and it works for them. And you do what you want to do. I'm Ryan Gresham, and this is Gun Talk Nation. This Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by CZ USA, Franklin Armory, Silencer Central, Range Ready, SecureIt, Smith & Wesson, BuildBox, Caldwell, and SnapSafe by Hornady. So welcome in, this Gun Talk Nation. This is going to be a solo episode. We're going to talk about revolver carry because from time to time, I switch up what I carry. People ask me, hey, Ryan, what are you carrying? What are you carrying? And I'll be honest, it will go in phases. I'll be like, yeah, I like that gun. I kind of like that gun. And sometimes that's the reason I'm carrying a particular gun. Sometimes it's because I got a holster that I like. And so I'm carrying that gun. Now, I'm not going to carry a gun that I don't shoot well or is not reliable. And I have changed because I got a gun like, I like this. And I got a holster for it. And the holster kept popping off and it just didn't feel right and fit right. And I was like, okay, we got to get a different holster or I'll start carrying another gun because let's be honest, at Gun Talk, we have access to a lot of different guns and holsters and ammo. And so it's kind of the perk of the job. Look, every job has a perk, okay? You work at Foot Locker, you get cheap Adidas, and here we get to play with guns. I think I'm winning. So I kind of went down this little road of I always like revolvers. I've always actually shot them pretty well, comfortable shooting them. And so we actually had the guys from American Fighting Revolver. We did a podcast with them not too long ago, and they came in and they hosted and taught the Colt Python experience class that we did here at Range Ready and enjoyed that, shot the Colt Pythons, just a ton of fun. When you do that, a lot of times it helps like spur a renewed love of shooting a particular type of gun, right? So probably most of us, if you're shooting pistols a lot, you're shooting semi-automatic 9mm pistols. And if you have some experience with revolvers, you're like, well, wait a minute, I kind of like shooting revolvers and I've kind of remembering that I like shooting revolvers. So I was like, yeah, I do like shooting revolvers. And then the American Fighting Revolver guys make a pretty good case for why revolvers are kind of awesome. And so you're like, yeah, that's a good point. Well, that's a good point too. So I started thinking about that and going, maybe I'm going to mix that in as far as like a type of revolver that I would be interested in carrying. Now, they were also here for the Lipsy's Ultimate Carry Revolver, which is a Smith & Wesson J-frame. And we did that, I guess, back in about March. All the folks from Lipsy's came over and we were testing out and shooting that gun. So one of the cool things about the Ultimate J-frame or the Ultimate Carry, I'm just going to pull it up here so I have all of the information. J-frame, okay? Ultimate Carry. It's a good name. Ultimate Carry J-frame. It's a Lipsy's exclusive, and I'm not great with like model names, and Smith & Wesson model names are a little bit wonky. So that's why I have to pull this up. But it does come in 38 Special. It also comes in 32 H&R Magnum. And that's the one when you shoot it, you go, okay, this is fun to shoot. So I've got this gun on the table. It is very unloaded. I know this is primarily a podcast, but we do film this. So if you're listening to this, you can go over to the Gun Talk YouTube, Gun Talk Facebook, I think also our guntalktv.com, and you can watch this. But this is the gun that I've got in and I've been trying out. This model is the 430. It's the Ultimate Carry, the Smith & Wesson 432 UC for Ultimate Carry. And it's black on black with a black cherry grip. So let's talk about this. And what did they do with the Ultimate Carry? It has an XS tritium front sight, dovetailed U-notch rear. I like the sighting system. It's a bright green, easy to pick out. It's a pretty big dot up front, which is helpful because this is a short sight radius gun, not an easy gun to shoot. This is not a gun that I would say, here, my wife who doesn't shoot a lot or a newbie. This probably isn't the gun for them. And I think a lot of people think J-frames, for decades, J-frames have been that gun. You're like, oh, just give them a revolver. It's small. It's easy to carry. It's not necessarily easy to shoot and actually hit stuff. I mean, you can point it at things and just pull the trigger and make loud noises, but that's probably not a great strategy. So this is the gun. It has a high horn VZ G10 grip. And this is a grip that they developed with VZ. And it's got a bunch of other stuff. It has the endurance package, including titanium pins, increasing the durability of an aluminum J-frame. No lock, airweight frame, lightweight package that only weighs 16 ounces. So why would you consider carrying a revolver, Ryan? Well, it's light, it's small, it's kind of easy to carry. And I'm going to tell you another thing. I'm not a big fan of Appendix carry. I know it's the hotness. I know it's faster and all that stuff. And I have great fun messing with KJ and Chris here in the office because they're Appendix carry guys and it works for them and you do what you want to do. But I mean, when you carry Appendix, the gun is pointed at parts of your body, important parts of your body. Femoral artery, that might be important. Reproductive organs could be important depending on your love life. Now I know people say, well, it's pointed at your butt if you're carrying it at 4 o'clock. Yeah, but a chunk of butt cheek coming off isn't great, but probably I'll survive it. We'll stitch it myself up. So that's my little quick note on Appendix carry. But I was like, with a longer, heavier, double action trigger pull, I feel a little bit more comfortable to try out Appendix carry. And I kind of feel like it's my duty to try out these things for what we do, right? You have to kind of be familiar with all this stuff. And so that's another reason that I'm going, revolver carry, I might want to try this out and kind of put this into the mix. So that's kind of where we started at. I got this gun in. This one is in 32 H&R Magnum. There's less recoil, which the other one, the 38 Special, is fine, but there's definitely less recoil. And it holds 6 rounds in the cylinder. So you get 1 extra round, you get, I guess we'd call it 20% more firepower. So that's a good thing. And you could say, yeah, but my 365, it holds 10 or 12 or whatever. I get it. Okay. And these are choices we have to make. We've, in the last, 3 or 4 years, we have been in the capacity craze, right? P365 upset the apple cart. And then you had a Hellcat following close behind that. And you had the Glock 43, Glock 48. And now you've got HK CC9. You've got all these kind of high capacity micro compact guns, which are awesome. They're awesome. And sometimes it's fun to just mix it up. And like I said, I've always shot these guns pretty well. It's a different grip. It's a different kind of point, but it's a natural point for me when I point the gun out. So something that's fun, that's different to play with. Now, how am I going to carry it? I mean, you would think that I should carry it in leather if I'm going to be super traditional, but that's not the goal. I mean, I still want this to be a good carry setup for me. I prefer Kydex. It doesn't bend. It's easier to reholster with. I prefer something I can kind of clip on, clip off on my belt. So this is a single clip. This is a holster from Galco. This one is the F249 Mod TR158. But basically, if you go to Galco and you look up J-frames and you look up Kydex, this is the one that I've got in. And so far, I like it. It's pretty good. I mean, it does the one clip. The drawback of the one clip is the gun can kind of shift and move on your belt. there may be something, if I had a thicker belt that might help prevent that. A different belt setup could help prevent that. But so far it hasn't been a problem. The appendix thing, it's working fine. There's times when it is kind of poking into that crease in your hip and your leg, and it's uncomfortable. But let's be honest, carrying it at 4 o'clock sometimes is uncomfortable too when you're sitting and leaning up against stuff. You kind of get used to it. Clint Smith said carry is not supposed to be comfortable. It's supposed to be comforting. So you kind of just get over it. Okay, so what? It's poking you a little bit. But it's got to be something you can carry all day. So let's do this. Let's take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about ammo choices for this type of carry. RCBS was founded in 1943 by Fred Huntington in Oroville, California, and they're still at it today, making dies and shell holders, presses, and all sorts of reloading supplies, trusted for decades. Get into reloading again with RCBS, rcbs.com. The new Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0 bridges the gap between a gun that's easy to carry and one that's easy to shoot. Small and lightweight at only 9.8 ounces, but plenty of .380 auto with 10 and 12 round magazines. See the new Bodyguard at smith-wesson.com. SecureItGunStorage.com. We talk about SecureIt because they make just really cool products, and we have a bunch of them here. We have the lockers, we have some of their agile safes, and when people come into Gun Talk headquarters, we often get that question of like, ooh, what's these? They're all stacked up, and it's like a cool wall of storage for your guns and your gear, but they do a good job of providing a lot of different options for storing your goods, gun walls, accessories, and you can kind of customize the configuration inside to really maximize the space for what you want it to work for. So you can learn more over at SecureItGunStorage.com. Enter to win the Ultimate Builder Giveaway presented by BuildBox. Here's your chance to win from over 100 incredible prizes from top brands like Caldwell, Real Avid, Wheeler Tools, Brownells, Aero Precision, Timney Triggers, Ballistic Advantage, EOTech, and Tipton, and even more. You can also win guns built on the show. Don't miss out. Visit BuildBoxTV.com to enter and gear up for your next build. You know EOTech for high-quality optics, but here's a new one, the EOTech HWS EXP S3 DCR. I know that's a lot of letters, but what does DCR mean? Danger Close Reticle. Provides fast and accurate shots at typical distances, but also an effective close combat aiming point. It's kind of 2 reticles in one, which is great for an optic like this. You can learn more at eotechinc.com. All right, so it's kind of interesting when you think about the 32 H&R Magnum. A little bit of a specialty round, probably not as many people are familiar with it, but it can still pack a punch, and it's kind of versatile, really. So I went into ammo storage and see what we had. I knew we had a few varieties of things, but where I'm at right now is I've been practicing with the Black Hills 32 H&R 90 grain, which is really, if I'm holding up the package for those just listening, you can kind of tell the packaging is different. Black Hills makes a bunch of cowboy action loads, and that's kind of what this one is. And the cowboy action loads are less powerful, less pressure, less velocity, sweet shooting. So whereas, you have a 357 Magnum, you can shoot 38 specials, some soft wad cutter loads for practice and not beat yourself up. Well, you can do that with cowboy action loads, and that's what I've been shooting, and they're super fun to shoot. I mean, for a small gun like this, there's very little recoil. I mean, I feel like I could stand there and shoot hundreds of rounds with this and be comfortable. Now, I've been shooting 20, 30 rounds at a time. We've got a range here, and I'll step outside and do a little practice with it. So that's kind of been my practice load. Now, I have a couple different hot loads from Double Tap. One that I'm not carrying, and you guys would have to tell me a use case for this. I think this would be more of like if I was carrying it in the backwoods, I would switch to this load. This one is 32 H&R Magnum. It's 120 grain hard cast solid. And Double Tap, known for doing a good job with their solid hard cast loads. This is something that will penetrate very deeply. It is not as appropriate for bad guy carry on humans because it's going to overpenetrate. It is not going to mushroom. It is not going to deform at all. And it is going to go straight through and just keep on trucking. You could probably, you certainly could kill a deer with this, which maybe that's the idea. You put this into a lever gun if you had a lever gun chambered in this. Or, like I said, animal carry, right? Backwoods carry. This would be great for that. It'd be great to penetrate deeply into a mountain lion or a black bear or something like that. Not ideal for grizzly. Grizzly might, not care. They might get really irritated. But not ideal for human carry. But a very cool load nonetheless. This is 120 grain hard cast solid out of a 3-inch barrel, but this is shorter than that. It's going 1,025 feet per second. So that's kind of neat, and it's a cool option. But being that this is a short-barreled gun, these guns are also regulated at 15 yards. The 32 H&R, the sights are regulated at 15 yards with federal 85 grain jacketed hollow points. So I don't have any of those. So I'm like, let's get some speed going here, because out of a short barrel, you need to be starting pretty fast anyway. So I've got some double tap 32 H&R Magnum, 60 grain Barnes TAC XP. So big, huge cereal bowl of a hollow point here, big open hollow point, and it's a very lightweight bullet. And this is solid copper. So solid copper is very consistent in what it does and how it performs. And so I've always liked monolithic hollow point bullets. They just do what they're supposed to do typically. And double tap does a good job with those. So the Barnes TAC XP, now this is out of a 3-inch barrel per the box, is going 1,300 feet per second. And I can tell you, when you shoot these and you've been shooting the soft cowboy action, you can tell the difference. It doesn't hurt you. It's not like getting slapped in the hand with a baseball bat like you can with a 357 Magnum, like a lightweight 357 Magnum. Those are not fun to shoot with full house 357 loads. But it's what I've been carrying, and I kind of like it. It's still controllable. It's going to pack a punch. I know it's only a 60 grain bullet, but being that it's solid copper, it's a big hollow point, I think it's appropriate for the job, and probably it's going to be less likely to over-penetrate, because going that fast with a big hollow point bullet, it's going to open up pretty quickly. So that's what I've been carrying. Then we have to talk about reloads, because I've only got 6 shots. We'll talk about that right after this. New from Caldwell, it's the VelociRadar with Chirp radar technology for more accurate readings from your chronograph. Tracks bullets downrange at various distances, giving you the full picture of ballistic performance. Easy to set up and an app to track all of your data all year long. Go check it out at caldwellshooting.com. Franklin Armory binary triggers just got an upgrade, the new AR Elite trigger. Of course, the binary firing system is a 3-position trigger. You can safe, you can fire it semi-auto, but in the 3rd position, it fires 1 round on pull and 1 round on release. Now, the new AR Elite trigger comes with premium features, including interchangeable trigger bows. So you can choose between a curved trigger or a straight flat face trigger. Also easy to install, straight, smooth trigger pull, 4.5 pounds plus or minus a half pound. Positive reset. So go check it out, franklinarmory.com. Range Ready is where we run our classes, rangereadystudios.com. So go over there to check out the classes and events that we have going on. These things go fast. Another little known thing about Range Ready is we will provide you a pistol if you need one for running a class, or even an AR. But there's no charge for that. We don't rent you a gun and there's an upcharge. It's just available for your use. So it's a pretty cool deal. Go check it out, rangereadystudios.com. Save on CZ firearms with the CZ Fall Rebate.
Receive up to a $100 rebate on select CZ firearms from now through December 31st. Learn more about the CZ Fall Rebate at cz-usa.com.
So I wonder, do you actually carry an extra magazine with your carry gun? Probably if you listen to Gun Talk Nation, you're more likely to be carrying an extra magazine, flashlight, mace, a tourniquet, who knows, a water filter. You're one of those prepared nutsos. We love you. You're our people. But I think a lot of people don't carry an extra mag. It's just another thing that you have to carry. And you kind of have that little bit of a logic, that little voice inside your head that says, well, my P365 holds 10 or 11 or 12 or whatever the thing that you're carrying is. Your Shield Plus, your Ruger LCP Plus or LCP Max. You're talking about 10 or 12 rounds seems to be almost the standard for semi-auto carry guns these days. But how do you carry extra rounds when you're carrying a revolver? And you really should. Well, the nice thing is it's easy to carry extra rounds because, there are speed loaders, but those are kind of bulky. They're big, they're round. Unless you're wearing big cargo pants or something, kind of strange to carry. And so I think for everyday carry, these speed strips are great. Galco has them. Tough Products has them. I got these from Tough Products. And these little speed strips are great. So for this gun, because it holds 6 in the cylinder, you get the 8-round speed strips. And you put 2, and then you space out. You give yourself a space. Then you have 2 more rounds, and you give yourself a space, and you have 2 more. And that way, you can load 2 at a time, and you strip them off and rip them off. And it's a pretty quick way to do reloads. Now, I will say, this is not going to be a real fast reload, but you do have more rounds, and you don't have only the 6 in the gun. So you can have another 6, and frankly, you could have another 12. These are easy to stick in a pocket. They lay very flat, and kind of almost no excuse to not carry more ammo. So something I'm going to be practicing with of just emptying the gun, doing reloads. I think that it's smart to, of course, make those first 6 count, really, that first 1, that first 2. First hit typically wins the gunfight. And so making sure you get your hits and you're on, and kind of almost accuracy should always be a priority, right? But I think that with carrying a small revolver, you have to be even more on your accuracy. And so it's something in these range sessions, I'm really challenging myself to have first hit, second hit, no misses. And that's all about trigger control, seeing the sights and all that stuff. So, but these little speed strips are great for carrying. And then just, if you think about this, this is a great way to just get trigger time and mix it up and kind of keep it interesting. Now, well, the funny part is, as we're kind of getting into the colder months, that's kind of when I would argue carrying a bigger gun, you can carry a bigger gun. You have probably you have an outer garment on. It's easier to conceal, but I'm sorry. I just did this revolver class with the Colt Python experience, and I just had experience with this new gun that Lipsy's and Smith & Wesson is doing, and I just really like it. And so as a fun thing, not that you need a reason, but to give you an excuse to buy another gun, revolver carry, may be the way to go. It's super easy to put this on a quickie, run to the grocery store kind of option for you. And I think when it comes to carry, it's really important to have options. There's the guy who says, I've got the one carry gun. I carry it the same way every day, all day. That's cool. That's fine. But can you really wear that when you're wearing a t-shirt and shorts? Maybe you can if you're a real skinny guy and just everything works for you. But depending on what you're going to be wearing, I think it's a great idea to have different carry options. And so J-frame, snubby carry. I also, we're talking about these J-frames, these Smith & Wessons, but I also really like the Ruger LCR. and it shoots great. Now, I will say, if you're going to carry a revolver, especially a snubby, I would recommend it being hammerless, whether that's a bobbed hammer or this is a true hammerless gun. There's no exposed hammer whatsoever. And when you practice it, you should be practicing it. Well, if there's no hammer, you're not going to be able to practice single action. But for a defensive revolver, you should never cock the hammer. So even if you have a revolver and it's a hammered gun, and if this is going to be a defensive gun for you, you should never be cocking the hammer when you're shooting this gun. There's just almost no case when that would be a reason to do that. So you want to groove your double action trigger pull and be really proficient with that. And today it's raining, so I'm going to be standing back at the 50 and seeing if I can get hits with this little gun from 50 yards and really challenge myself. So check it out. Revolver carry, if it's something that you're interested in, this might be a gun to look at. Like I said, Taurus is doing a really nice job with their revolvers these days. Ruger's doing a really nice job with their revolvers. But I would take a look at the hammerless ones, and if you can find one in 32 H&R mag, it's a pretty cool option. So that's it for us. We will see you guys next time on Gun Talk Nation.